Hello, 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 everyone out there in the social media world. Wait for some people to come on. Hello, hello, everybody. Just waiting for some people to come on. Hello. I'm not sure who's on, but I see there's some people watching. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. So this first part would be more conversational. The subject of the evening, the series is Connecting Your Social Soul Self. And so tonight, the focus is connecting with self. I'm trying to position this. So, just to have some participation, can anybody tell me what they believe connecting with self is? See if we can get some answers out there. So, oftentimes that we get so busy in life that we forget to connect with self. So let's talk about connecting with self. The reason, just to give you all some background, the reason why I'm doing this series is because, God had given it to me, with Connect, Qualify, Commit, as hello everybody who's recently joined. God's given me Connect, Qualify, Commit because not only in regular relationships we have challenges with connecting, qualifying, and committing, just even with relationships with ourselves, that we have issues with, connecting ourselves, which we're going to talk about more over the next 3 weeks, is connecting, period, which what does connect means. What does connect mean? That's what we want to define tonight, is connecting with self, connecting with God, connecting with other people. What does that really mean? Because society has created an image of what connecting means, through whether it be social media, whether it be TV, going out, hanging with friends, family. Society has given us a definition, and most people in my generation and generations after me and before me are living by the seat of their pants, so to speak, and they haven't really defined what it means to connect. Just doing whatever and not really having an understanding of who they are, what they want in their life, who are the people they connect with, and setting a standard, creating a standard in their life. So I haven't got any responses. Hello to everyone who has joined, but I wanted to see what people think it means to connect. That's what this series is about. Just so somebody can give me some idea what they think what connection means. Hey Pam, anybody got an idea? Anybody want to speak on what it means to connect? Anybody? So an example is connecting right now is us connecting via social media. Oftentimes we're communicating, we're connecting online through social media, with people, whether it be family, maintaining contact with them. It can be spiritual connection, it can be physical connection, it can be mental connection. People make connections in different ways. Hello, everyone who's just joined. And the main thing that I want to discuss tonight is connecting with self, which many of us lack in doing because of the day-to-day. So I'm going to do something real quick. I'm not going anywhere. So if you think about the most important and comfortable time of your day, and what comes to mind of me, what's the most comfortable part of my day is when I'm going to bed. So let's make it a little dark. That's not gonna work because it's not dark. Just a moment. That's not gonna work either. Make it dark. Alright. I'm still here, I'm not going anywhere. Alright, so the most comfortable part of my day, unless you're homeless or you have a really bad mattress, probably the most comfortable and the most familiar dark place is in a dark, familiar room with comfortable sheets, blankets. You're all snuggled up in the bed. It feels good. Trying to get the mind back to a place of peace so you can rest. You probably prayed if you pray. Trying to unwind and get your body adjusted to where you can rest. Your eyes begin to adapt to the atmosphere. If you have trouble sleeping at night, you might have taken some medicine so you can go to sleep. You fall asleep. You might toss and turn. Some of you all might get up in the morning, in the middle of the night, because you can't sleep still. Some sleep throughout the night, but some aren't resting. Time goes and goes, and suddenly the light wakes you up. And you're forced to face the reality that you have to get up. So that reality may be because you're a mother or a father. You have to wake up because you got to get your children up. You're a son or your daughter. You have to get up and get ready for school or daycare, whatever that may be. You're a single mother. You're single, just a single person, period. You're married, you're separated, you're divorced, you're widow, whatever it may be. Your reality is you have to get up. And for those who continue to create a dark place for themselves, they close their dark curtains. And when it comes time for them to wake up, they don't get up because they already created an atmosphere before they went to sleep by closing the dark curtains so they wouldn't have to be waking up. This demonstration represents how sometimes we create atmospheres, we create our lives around those dark places. So my question is what dark place are you sleeping in? What dark place are you comfortable in? Because that dark place may be that place, that thing or situation that may be keeping you from going to another level in your life. So the only way to really know what that place is that you get uncomfortable and you don't create a place for you to just keep sleeping. That place, let me actually, I practice. Okay, that's good, Kim. I'm reading your comment. But that place of comfort that we sit in is that can keep us from connecting with ourselves. Every day, everybody gets up at some point during the day. It doesn't have to necessarily be like 8 o'clock or 6 o'clock in the morning to start your day. But that illustration that I gave was an example of our dark places. Everybody has dark places. It doesn't matter if you're married, you're single, you're living alone, you have a house full of people. It doesn't matter what it is. That dark place is dark in everybody's life because we haven't taken the time for a light to appear. And when I say light to appear, is that it's kind of like a realization, okay, I need to connect with myself and bring light to this certain portion of my life. I often, I work with a lot of people and I help people normally pretty much overcome challenges in their life day to day, and try to help them work through those challenges. And what I often see, not only just in those relationships that I work with other people, but even, the people I know, like, sometimes family, friends, associates, no matter where I am, I always happen to run into people who aren't facing those dark places in their life. And it's challenging to me sometimes because, you want to tell people what, like, gosh, aren't you tired of being in the dark? Like, are you tired of being in the dark? Like, there was even times where I had to ask myself, are you tired of being in the dark? I've been fighting, doing these videos, been fighting, doing all, the business stuff. And I had to come out of that dark place of being fearful of what people would think, if I moved out into this, venture, and try to help more people, which is something I do regularly anyway. So you would think that, why would I be uncomfortable, with doing this? However, I had to come to a place where I had to shed light, God shed light on my dark place. And so everybody has a dark place. And at some point you have to be okay with not being in that dark place. And so that takes connecting with yourself. And that connecting comes with, sitting back, prayer, understanding who you are. So Kim, you said you practice being true to yourself, giving versus taking, being selfless, and disconnecting from your ego, which is, it has to definitely, your ego is a big thing that keeps you from connecting with yourself. So does anybody else have anything that, they feel like they do to keep, for connecting with yourself? Well, to connect to yourself. Because it doesn't matter what area or what phase we are in our life, we have to connect with ourselves, because then we lose ourselves. And we continue to sit in a dark place. Like, for example, where if someone's always angry, then they are sitting in a dark place. They're not addressing the genuine anger that they're facing. If they keep going in one relationship and never connecting with themselves, then if going from one relationship to the next, so to speak. So they get out of one relationship and then they go into another one to fulfill the relationship with someone else. That's a sign that they're not connecting with themselves. So I want to hear from you all. You know, this was a talk session, so I want some talk back. So I want to hear a little bit more from you all to see what you all have to say about connecting with yourself. And I'm gonna give it a few more moments, but I'm gonna give you an example of what I am talking about when being in a dark place. I was actually listening to a sermon, and it was so profound. When I say it was profound, it opened my eyes to some things. And it was talking about those dark places. So give me a few more moments. What do you all do to connect with yourself? You don't have to tell me your dark places, but I want to, I'm breaking up. Sorry, my Wi-Fi is working. But, hey Jasmine, hey Kelly. So, hey Will. I just want to hear what you all have to say about what are you doing to connect with yourself. Because connecting, taking time out with self is necessary just to feel better. It certainly is, because especially, you know, even with the recent occurrences of the deaths that's been going on with these black men are dying and stuff, you know, it was very important for me to take time for myself and do stuff for myself, because it was when I say it was so emotional, it was so emotional for me, and I'm sure it was for a lot of other people, but I had to disconnect from the world and connect with myself and get back to myself, because, you know, it was just too much, and I was losing me. And, you know, when we lose ourselves, we lose sight of in what direction that we're supposed to be going, and losing direction as far as business, you know, lose direction as far as work, life in general. Like last week was tough, because, you know, it was definitely a test of connecting with myself, because with all that stuff going on, you really couldn't, it was hard to escape it. If you weren't seeing it on, my connection is paused, not getting if it wasn't, you know, if I didn't connect with myself, you know, I wouldn't be working out, which the weather caused me not to work out yet last week, but the workout, I wouldn't be able to, you know, come home and do what I need to do and be who I need to be for me and my husband. I wouldn't be able to accomplish things I needed to do before the weekend. There was a lot of things, and it was very important that I connected with myself in spite of what was going on, because what was going on, it definitely mattered. You know, what was going on, it needed, you know, we needed to, you know, really open our eyes and come out of the dark places that we're in and realize what's really going on around us. However, we have to connect with ourselves and know that we can't take all those things in. And so by me saying that is that when we connect with ourselves, we have to understand who we are and what we're doing in our lives. And so that brings light to those dark places. So if God told us to do something, or we have a business plan, or we're doing, you know, we have a mission for something, we have to really, hey mom, we have to really know exactly what we're doing, and that causes us, we have to really come out of those dark places and really connect with ourselves and have an understanding. So now I'm gonna share that I see Pam shared some things that she enjoys doing, and mine is like I like to sew, I love to write, I love to listen to music, I love to create things, and those are my escapes. And so when I'm doing those things, I can connect back to myself. I can come back to myself and understand where I am and who I am at that time. So the sermon I was listening to was about Bartimaeus. He was a blind man. And he was sitting on the side of the road. It's in the Bible. Bartimaeus is in the Bible. It's from Luke 18:35. So when he was sitting on the side of the road, he was a beggar and he was blind. He couldn't see. And so because Bartimaeus couldn't see, he had pretty much conditioned his life around his day-to-day. He said he created his life so he can cope with the fact that he could not see. So when Bartimaeus, he was, on the side of the road begging, everything he did throughout his day was catered to the fact that he could not see. He didn't know what was going on around him. He couldn't see the people who were passing by him. He didn't really understand. There's a lot of things that we can do when we can see. We can understand who the people where we are connecting with, and we can understand, what they're about a little bit more when we can see, and we can understand. We can see a lot of things. We can see their race. We can see that if they got glasses on. We can see if they, we can see a lot of things when we can see. But Bartimaeus could not see. And so because he could not see, it limited him. However, he coped because he learned to use what he had in order to make it through the day. So when the crowd came along with Jesus and they were going on the road, and Bartimaeus could hear it, so he was asking, what is the noise? What's going on? Who is this? What's going on around me? And so he asked, and they told him it was Jesus. And so because he could not see, and he used his ear, he said, this is Jesus. So he can tell it was a lot of people around. So he did what he knew to do, and that was to yell to get Jesus' attention. So he yelled, and he screamed so Jesus could hear him. And because he got Jesus' attention, he was able to be healed. His sight was restored. Okay, but my question is, and I want you all to think about this, is what dark place are you sitting in? What place are you sitting in that's causing you to not be better? That's causing you to cope with the way you're living and to be okay with the fact that, okay, my life is this way, so I'm just gonna do everything I can to be okay with it. So you create a normal for your life. So is your normal being angry? Is your normal being in relationships with people that don't value you? Is your normal laying in the bed all day, looking for love in dark places? Are you settling for the first man or woman that accepts you? Are you being the entertainer and friends to people who you don't even like or don't even like you? Are you not trying to live beyond what you currently are? Not changing because it's uncomfortable. And everybody just needs to accept you for who you are and what you are. What dark place are you sitting in? Everybody has a dark place. And I say that everybody has a dark place because, we're always changing. We're constantly changing. No one person, unless you're just refusing to change. That's the only way that you don't, well, you still have a dark place if you're still changing. You're refusing to change. That's still a dark place. But, so we often develop a system, or we often create a life that's suitable for our dark place. And so what are we doing to not connect with ourselves and to move out of that dark place? What are we doing? And even if we try to do all we can do, sometimes what it takes is for us connecting with God. And the way Bartimaeus, he connected with God, he yelled and he got God's attention because, he saw it as an opportunity, for God to hear him, for him to be healed. And God said, Jesus said, your faith made you whole. You don't have, you already had the ability to be healed from being blind. We all have that ability to take the blindness away, for the light to be shed on our situation. Oftentimes, we have friends that try to tell us, about ourselves, or make notion. Family say stuff, say things to us about ourselves, and we don't want to hear it. And back to the demonstration that I did earlier. I did a demonstration of being in dark, and being in the darkness in a comfortable place. And when the light comes, it brings light to what our situation is. And when we wake up in the morning, when the sun shines, that's reality that we have to get up. And so when we when that light is shined, especially when we got adjusted to the darkness, the light, we often, like, when the light shines on us, it hurts. So when people tell us, things about ourselves, it hurts sometimes. And so, because we're being used to being in that dark place, and we don't want to hear it sometimes, and it hurts sometimes because we've been sitting in the dark so long. So I'm going to ask again, what dark place are you sitting in? And the only way that we can really come out of those dark places is by connecting with ourselves, and then connecting with God. So we can actually be able to come out of those dark places. Plug into the right source, which is Jesus Christ. Yes, Portia. Yeah. So connecting with self is very important. Thank you, Letitia. Connecting with self is important, and once you connect with yourself, you eventually have to connect with God, because He's the person that can actually shed light on those dark places. And we get comfortable in the darkness all too often. Every day we get comfortable in those dark places, because it feels good. And it doesn't, but of course it doesn't feel good when we wake up in the morning and have to face the reality that something in my life has to change. I was a very, very, very angry young girl at one point, and I got tired of being angry. And so what I did about that is that I connected with myself, and that was really in college, mostly in college, when I kind of came out of that place. I was angry, and I got tired of being angry. I got tired of being mad for no reason. But it took me connecting with myself, and of course God, and hearing the word, it allowed me to come out of that dark place, of hurt. And so which led me to being in bad relationships, because I was sitting in those dark places. And when we get in a bad relationship, I said dark relationships for a reason. So when we get in dark relationships, those relationships that mean us no good, we create even more darkness around us, and we lose sight of who we are. And it really takes us connecting with self and knowing who we are, and knowing what we want. And if we don't know who we are and what we want, darkness attracts darkness. And so when we are in a dark place, darkness is attracted to us. Those no good things are, attracted to us, and we get in bad relationships, where we can't see, what we truly want out of our lives, and we get in those places that we get in those relationships that we think that we desire, but we really don't. We want more, but oftentimes when we're in the dark, we settle for the first thing that feels good. And so I hope you all are enjoying this. I'm seeing a few likes and hearts, but I hope you all are enjoying this. And it's very important that we learn to connect with ourselves and connect with God, which all comes together. So once you get understanding who you are as a person. When you connect with yourself, it becomes easier for you to understand light. Insecurity is a place many women face. Yep, it's certainly true, Jasmine. Light brings forth realization. Yep, it sure does. And then too, like even with light bringing forth realization, is that, you know, we have the light bring forth realization, but sometimes we don't, even though we see the realization, we don't want to change because it hurts. So even though we see the realization, changing is challenging, because I can recall many a times that, oh gosh, I really need to stop being fearful. Fear of the unknown. And my fear was more so because I didn't have control, and control over what the outcome would be. It was really a faith issue. I have a lot of faith, but I really didn't have a lot of faith because, you know, even though I knew what I was capable of doing, the fear of not knowing how I can control it, or if I can control it, kept me from going forward. And so light can bring realization about things, but it's really up to us to change it and accept, okay, this is the reality of things. And so I can't keep living like this, or keep doing these things, and there be change in my life, because even though the light comes, darkness comes back again. And insecurity is a big thing, and the lack of confidence and self-worth is a big thing too, because when we lack confidence and self-worth, that's because we haven't connected with ourselves and addressed those insecurities. So it's a big thing. I want y'all to talk back to me. Few people talking back, but I would love for you all to talk back, because my mission is really to bring light to people, just as God has brought light to me. And the importance of connecting with self, you know, because I get, you know, it burdens me sometimes when I see people going through the same things over and over and over and over and over and over and over. It burdens me. It's just like, come out of darkness, like live in light. You know, you don't have to keep being sad. You don't have to keep being angry. You don't have to keep being in bad relationships. It's okay to be alone. It's okay to be alone. I've always had people around me when growing up, because I had 3 other siblings in the home, and even like when I left the college, I had my friends around me. And then there was one point my sister came and stayed with me while she was in high school, and it wasn't until after she left that I really understood what it meant to be alone and face myself. And even still, like even today, like even being married, like you still gotta be alone, like because you can't be around your, hey Demetrius, you can't be around your spouse 24/7, you know. And I love my husband, you know, we always together, and but we both need we both like have our own lifestyles, like, but we have to separate and disconnect from each other, and just be able to connect with, you know, ourselves and God, and hear from God for ourselves. See, it's important that we continue always connect with ourselves, because, you know, if you're not scared of change, you're always gonna have to be changing. Always have to be changing. And it's important that, you know, whether you're in a relationship, you're single, you're separated, whatever it may be, you're always taking the time out to connect with yourself, because there's going to be a point where you have to be alone and face those dark places. And if you're not, you're probably miserable. I hate to say it, you're probably miserable. You're angry at the word. Everybody's against you. at the world, I'm sorry, everyone is against you. I mean, you have to be okay with being alone and being quiet in that quiet place and being able to connect with yourself, because it's so important, especially when you're single, because then you have more of an understanding of who you are. You can process your days and understand, okay, well, this didn't work during my day. I have to change something so that my life can work. It can be better. This relationship didn't work, so I have to change something so that the next one that I get in, I'll know before I even get in it whether or not I want to be in it. And you know, as Jesus went into the garden, he told the disciples to pray. He needed time to commune with the Lord, and God speak to him, because yes. And so, I mean, you have to commune. You have to have time to commune with God, and because that's the light. I mean, that's the light to your dark place. And if you're not communing with God, it's just like, what am I doing? And most people who don't have that relationship with God, a real relationship with God, like, I'm asking God, like, believe it or not, like, I'm sitting here before this thing came on, and I'm like, God, I need you, because I don't know exactly what I'm going to say. Like, I've got some stuff written down, but I need you to give me what I need to say, okay? So, you know, I mean, having that genuine relationship with God, to where, you know, it's saying that, God, I need you. I need you to fill in these, you know, put some light on these dark places. And so, it's necessary for you to be okay with being alone and reflecting. So if you just got out of a bad relationship, then take some time. It's okay to take some time and be alone. Stay home a few nights, or go out a few nights. Enjoy yourself. Learn from the relationship. If the relationship didn't work, hey Nicole, hey Nathan, if that relationship did not work, then take some time. Like, gosh, what did I do wrong? Because believe me, it's not always the other person. There was something that you did wrong. There was something that, you know, your dark places attracted that person who was wrong for you. And that's necessary for you to take that time and say, okay, if I didn't do this right this time, if I didn't see that red flag when he said that he wanted to come over, and I just met him 2 days ago. He wanted to come to my house, and that was a sign that well, maybe he's trying to get a little too close too fast, and it's 11 o'clock at night and he was wanting to come over. So I mean, those are the red flags. I mean, and you knew that you didn't want just sex. You wanted something, a real relationship. You wanted somebody you can grow with. You wanted somebody that you can, you know, be with long. I mean, there are, I'm really sure, God. Yeah, so, I mean, it's important that you connect with yourself, like when you've been through a bad relationship. And it doesn't even have to be a spousal relationship. I mean, or a male-female relationship where you're in a relationship with someone. It can be a friendship. It can be a cohort that you had. I mean, it's a coworker that you've been with, and you let that person know some things about you, and they done told the whole department. I mean, but you always have to reflect back. What did I do wrong? And connect with yourself, because, you know, relationships, you have to improve them constantly, and that always takes some time. Getting to know yourself and knowing who you are, what you're going to settle for, what you're not going to settle for, what you're going to deal with, and what you're not going to deal with. It's important that you connect with yourself. Hi Tanya. Yes, not having a relationship with God have you feeling lost. Yeah, right. But even still, like, you have to constantly seek direction, you know. Otherwise, you know, your relationship with God is really a choice. Yes, you have to hold yourself accountable. And if you don't hold yourself accountable, you're going to fall or settle for anything. And that's why it's important to connect with yourself. If you don't connect with yourself, you find yourself in those dark places with dark people that you really don't want. They're not really good for you. And, you know, sometimes people remain in those relationships because they have hope that, you know, there will be some light to this. But, you know, so anybody else have anything to say about connecting with self? You know, those dark places are challenging to address, but when you are able to shed light on them, you have to be willing and ready to create change. And so it's important that you not only connect with self, but connect with God, your source, your light, and He is direction, you know. So that was the main agenda, is for, you know, everyone to consider shedding light on those dark places. As I mentioned earlier in the video, is that our most comfortable part of our day is laying in the bed and getting ready to go to sleep. And, you know, we really need to wake ourselves up to those places that are comfortable or dark that we're sleeping on. There are some places in our life that, you know, we don't realize that they're dark places, but we're sleeping in those areas. And so it really takes connecting to ourselves to understand that we're asleep and we got to wake up. We're asleep. We're comfortable. We've created an atmosphere. We created our life has been catered to us sleeping under those dark places. And like I mentioned earlier, mine was, you know, being fearful of doing, you know, the things that God was one of the things, doing the things that God has called me to do, which, you know, which is this right here, is, you know, helping people understand that, you know, we have dark places and we need to connect with ourselves in order to understand what those dark places are. So we can create change and make lasting changes in our life. It's important that we always connect with ourselves. It doesn't matter what position we're in. It doesn't matter if we're 80. No, I'm not going to say 80 years old. Sometimes people, but it doesn't matter if we're 68 years old. You know, we have to, you know, constantly connect with ourselves and see where we need to put some light at, where some light needs to be shed at, so we can create change. And there's a lot of people, you know, that are that close to that age of 68 that are, you know, I've been hearing so much lately that people have been dying so young because of health issues. And that was also a situation, you know, another thing that, you know, light has been shed is in a dark place for me, is that, you know, I want to live to, you know, I want to live to be a good 68 and still be able to run around. And, you know, hi Nicole, hi Carolyn, Simone, and Alma. I want to be able to run around, and, you know, if I have, you know, grandchildren and stuff, and be able to be healthy at 68. And, you know, that I really had to get some light shed on those dark places that I really needed to work on. Hey Nikki. I had to really shed some light on those dark places when it came to my health, and realized I had to make some changes in order so I can live to be 68 and still running around and being able, not holding a cane and stuff like that. So, you know, we really have to connect with ourselves. My husband's back here making a whole lot of noise, and it's important. It's definitely important. Yes, Yvonne. It is very important that we connect ourselves. We know who we are, whose we are. We know our worth, and we don't settle for anything. But yeah, so I mean, it's a challenge with people knowing their worth, and knowing whose they are. And, you know, it's important to have standards, and that's the huge thing when it comes to connecting with self. It helps you know what your standards are. Hey Vincent, knowing your standards. You have to have standards. Don't just be with any and everybody. you have to, say, okay, I'm not going to be around this person who smokes. I'm not going to be around this person who always got drama going on, because I'm guaranteed if I'm around, they're going to have drama too. And so I'm not going to just settle for every Tom and Harry that's on the road, in the street, and, every female that looks good ain't good for you, really. So, I mean, it's PJ Jr. So it's important that you create standards for your life, and like I said, connecting with yourself and connecting with God helps you create those standards for your life, so you just won't settle for anything or anybody, and it saves you a lot of emotional turmoil. I mean, because we really take ourselves through things by settling and not having standards, because we take ourselves out. And I'm convinced, I was listening to a song and it was just like, I think it was Kirk Franklin or something, and it just said, are you addicted to the pain? And a lot of people are addicted to pain. It's just like, addicted to pain. Like, you're okay with constantly being in bad relationships over and over and over, and creating situations that cause you to be in pain, and it's just like people are addicted to pain. It's like, when are we gonna get enough of hurting? Like, I don't want to hurt all the time. Like, it's not a good feeling. Like, and we unconsciously do it because it's a dark place in our life that we're not addressing. And so it's important. I can't stress it enough. It's so important that you create a standard for your life, because if you don't, nobody else will. And you'll attract those people who are just like you or worse. And it's important. It's so important that you create a standard. It's very important. You create a standard. And being alone, yes, sometimes bad relationships is all that the person knows. But I have to say that, if you connect with yourself and know that, and create a hope, if you have hope, well, the hope comes from God, of course, but that connecting with self and connecting with God, it creates hope. I mean, it creates hope for something better. And once you get fed up, you'll want to find a better relationship, because there was a point where I got fed up too before I met my husband. I was tired of all these no goods coming around, and it was like, God, I know what you promised me. Like, you promised me a husband and someone that would treat me, like I'm more than enough. Like I'm the only person that he sees. And he did. Like, when I say I was angry with God, I was angry. And like, it was just to where I broke down, and I pleaded. I was angry. I was yelling at God. I was so upset, because I know what God promised me, and he showed me, what I was worth. And I kept running into these same old guys, and then it just came to, there was one last guy that he was good to the eye too. He was really good to the eye, and I was very close to making that same mistake again, of entering into something that I did not want because it was pleasing to the eye. And I walked away from it. And because I walked away from it, literally, I want to say 2 weeks later, I met my husband. Now, it don't happen for everybody, but I'm saying that is that when you connect with yourself and you know what God told you, you connect with God, you know what, he's told you, you're able to say, okay, I'm going to believe, and I'm not going to settle again. And it will come, but you have to be consistent. You have to have hope, you have to have faith, and believe that if I choose not to enter into another bad relationship, and I choose to just be by myself and live for God, and just do what makes me happy. And if you don't know what makes you happy, you have not spent enough time by yourself. You got to know what makes you happy. And so when I did that, and I stuck to it, and I was done. I was like, I'm not dating nobody else. I don't want to be with nobody else. I'm just going to focus on me. I'm going to live my life. I'm going to make this money. I'm gonna live my life, do what I want to do, go where I want to go, and be happy single. And then the big head joker I met. So, you know, and even still, like with my husband, you know, I still had to learn how to be alone, like, because my husband, he ain't no cuddy. I'm the one that's lovey-dovey and stuff like that, but he enjoyed his time alone. And I found myself, even when in the beginning of our marriage, that when I wanted to always be in his face and, you know, always, you know, let's do this, let's do that, and whatever. And I was like, okay, well, maybe I do need to spend time by myself. Excuse me. So I did. And I realized that there's a lot that I needed to work on, you know. And because I was able to spend that time by myself, I was able to be able to define what I needed to do for myself as a wife and as a friend. Where are my friends at? What are you talking about? Looks and not everything is not good. The person's hard to treat you like a king or queen that you are. Yes, looks is not everything. I can tell you that much. Looks very deceiving. Like, there's some really dumb people, like ignorant people. They look good to the eye, but they ain't good for the soul. Excuse me. So, I mean, yeah, so, and my husband, he treats me better than, he's treated me better than any man that I've ever had any encounter with, ever. He's treated me, and, you know, I found myself saying, like, God, he really loved me enough to give me somebody who loved me. And that's because, you know, and I wouldn't have got that if I had not connected with myself and understood what I wanted and what I needed out of my life. Because honestly, I wasn't attracted to my husband. And if I would have went out for looks and me being attracted and not just getting to know him, I could have missed out on something great. And because I refocused myself, because I got to know myself during that time alone, I really was able to understand that it's not the appearance, but it was more so of the quality of that person, like getting to know that person, having conversations, getting to know the deep things. Like, and we both, for some reason, we both immediately shared a lot of deep things faster than I thought we would. Our relationship went really fast, unusually anyway, but it was because of that time alone. I knew what I wanted, and just in conversation, I can kind of discern about how good of a person he was and whether or not I wanted to be with him. And it was kind of scary because I kind of knew really, really fast that I did want to be with him. And when you're used to being in bad relationships, when something good comes along, it's kind of scary because it's unfamiliar. And when it's unfamiliar, it can create fear, and some people run away from good things, and they just avoid them altogether. But because I knew what I was looking for, and I knew what God promised me, I was open to something different. It did, but it worked out for you. Yes, it did, Nicole. And he does treat me like a queen. Even though we fuss and fight with us every relationship, but it's important. We fuss, but we get over it really quick. We resolve it. It's important. Yes, Yvonne. Oh gosh, yes. Yes, and that's another thing. You know, that's something else I'm going to bring up. So connecting with self, you have to connect with self before you can connect with someone else. And that's so important because we can often depend on someone else to bring us happiness. And we really have to find that happiness within us. And the only way you can get that is connecting with yourself. And that's so vital. You're so responsible for your own happiness. Like, no one can determine your happiness but you. Even with being in a marriage, everybody thinks that marriage is happiness 24/7. No sir, no ma'am. If you think that, I don't know where you got that imagery from. You must have got that off of a movie or something. I mean, because it's not. Like, it's a lot of work. And, hey, Amber. And so it's important that you create your own happiness. If you're not happy without someone else, whether it be a friend, a boyfriend, a family member, a coworker, a girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever it may be, if you're not happy alone, then in loving yourself, nobody can love you like you can love you. Excuse me. And our day cannot be shaped around another human being, because God can really take that person from us, you know, in any way. And we can actually we can actually try to keep them in our lives because we want to be happy. And when we try to keep them in our life, that's adding to that darkness. And when God is trying to pull that person out of our lives, excuse me, I don't know why I'm coughing all of a sudden. Excuse me. So when God excuse me, when God try to remove that person out of our life and we try to keep that person there, we're messing up what God is trying to do. I don't know what's going on with my voice. Anyways, so connecting with yourself and making your own self happy is important, and it must be time for me to end this because I am choking. Excuse me. I do not have time for y'all. Excuse me. Amber, hush. So, anyways, so it's important that you connect with yourself. And something strange happened to my voice. So, it's important that you connect with yourself and understand who you are, what you want, and who do you want in your life. And that's a part of the next process that I'll probably be discussing. But Amber, get off. Excuse me. So, connect with yourself and understand who you are, what you want, and what those dark places are in your life, so the light can be shed on them and you can create change in your life. Thank you all for joining me for this live session. And if anybody is looking for someone to help them navigate through those dark places, please contact me. Please inbox me, and we can discuss how I can help. So you can contact me through Green Life Enhancement Services, through our page, or you can inbox me directly. I hope that you all enjoyed this, and that you're no longer sitting in those dark places. So, excuse me. So, thank you again. Y'all have a great evening, and I will talk to you all next week. Next Monday at 7:30 here on Facebook Live. We will continue with the connecting with others. Excuse me. Y'all have a great night. Love y'all.